Welcome to the Mindset Mechanics Podcast with Juan and Ladybug Jenkins. It's not too late to find, face, and fix what's stalling you. The shop is open, so pull on in.
Welcome to Mechanical Monday. You are in the shop. I am Ladybug Jenkins, your mindset mechanic, reminding you that it is never too late to find, face, and fix what is stalling you. And when you do that, you can accelerate into the life of your dreams. Yes? So today's episode is entitled, Please Pull Over. Yes, and I want to talk to you about the topic of self-pity and being self-centered. Yes, I know you think it might not connect, but just give me a minute. Now, if you have ever driven a car, a vehicle, ridden, in a vehicle, you know what being pulled over is all about. And depending on where you're from and what your background is, you may have some pretty intense memories, unpleasant memories, frightening memories about being pulled over. So you can imagine you're riding down the highway. It could be daytime, nighttime. You could even be in a residential area. You can be right up the street from your home. And all of a sudden you see the lights, the red and the blue. Sometimes there's a burp, burp. Sometimes you hear a voice over a loudspeaker. Please pull over. I need you to pull over. Now, I don't know about you, but your girl Ladybug is from South Florida. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I want to be respectful, but my experiences with being pulled over, my experiences interacting with police have not always been pleasant. And the stories from my father and my brother and, other men in my life, even my husband, he has a horrific story from college, but that is his story to tell. And so it's not always a pleasant experience. But the first thing that you think is, what did I do wrong? Did I do anything wrong? You start to run through all of these things in your head. You start to try and figure out, why me? Why am I being pulled over? What did I do wrong? Now, this is where it connects. You know that sometimes you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything wrong. You haven't made an infraction. Sometimes you look like the person that did a thing, or they say you fit the description of a person who did a thing. Sometimes things are going on in the area and they are closing the area down. We just had an incident, unfortunately, at my development, coming home in the morning, and there is legit a SWAT team. Not a lot of cops, but SWAT, guns, the vest, either you're SWAT or you're not. It looks like a movie is being filmed. And one of the neighbors, who was also trying to get into the development, rolls their window down and says, "What's going on?" "We are executing a warrant for a dangerous individual that we are trying to apprehend." Thankfully, they did, and it looked just like you would expect. But for a time, they were pulling everyone over, and they were not allowing them to go any further. So in that situation, you're being told to pull over. Your heart for me, my heart starts to beat fast. I'm very nervous, but I start running through in my mind, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Why me? Why me? So in this scenario, you hadn't done anything wrong. It's happening for a reason, though, right? And life can be the same way. And oftentimes we get into self-centeredness and we get into why me-ness, why me, why me. But we don't always ask that, do we? When there is a car accident and the person in the other vehicle dies and you're fine, do you say, why me then? When there are massive layoffs on your job, but you get to keep yours, do you say, why me then? 4 years ago, when the Big C was flooding through society and people were suffering, people were losing their lives. And so if you're watching this, that didn't include you. Did you ask yourself, why me then, when you caught it? And if you're like me, I felt like that was it. I was laying on my bed talking to God because I thought, okay, this is it. This is how I'm going to die, is what I said to myself. And then when you get up off that sick bed, when you make it, and then you have texts and emails about people who didn't, Do you ask yourself, why me? Then do you say, oh my gosh, why me? Why me? When you ride by a homeless person in your car full of groceries, couple of DVDs. If you're like me, I take DVDs out from the library. Couple of DVDs. You got your food and your snacks. And you're a little aggravated because you got caught by the red light, and you look over and you see a homeless person with a child or their pets, and you're on your way home. Do you say, oh, why me? But if you get home and the air conditioning isn't working, you have a full-blown attitude. Why is this happening to me? So it's about perspective, guys. It's about perspective. And I am sweating, but I don't want to turn the fan on because you guys, it might be interrupting the recording. But that is what I wanted to share. When we get into self-centeredness, when we get into selfishness, when we get into the why me, why me. So when I got pulled over, and I've been pulled over several times. Once I was driving all the way to Texas from Fort Lauderdale, and this was pre-cell phone. And so it is the middle of the night, and I am on a stretch of highway where I have not seen a light or a person for miles, and I see the lights, boop, boop, boop. And so I don't pull over. I slow down, and I exit and go to a gas station. And the officer was angry that I did not pull over. And I said, look, this is what I was taught to do by my father and by police officers, to slow down so you'll know I'm not trying to evade you, and to pull off to a well-lit, populated area. And so he didn't like it, but he couldn't, really argue with that. So I'm just saying, when you get pulled over, when something happens, not if, because we know when. Things are going to happen, but what is your attitude going to be like? When something happens to you, when you get pulled over by life, and you start with the why me, why me? Remember when your child got sick and got better. Remember when everyone else lost their job and you didn't. Remember 4 years ago when people caught the big C word and they didn't make it and you did. You were not saying why me then. When you were able to have the family you wanted, and you have a friend that is battling infertility and you have children, you're not saying why me then. When you have a husband or a wife, and you have friends right now who are praying for God to send them someone, are you saying why me then? Were you saying why me on your wedding day? Were you saying why me the day you graduated from college and walked across that stage and got your degree? Were you saying why me when you got the phone call that your child was in a car accident, but they made it? Because I have a friend, she got that same phone call and her child did not make it. Were you saying why me then when your child made it? So it's about perspective. That why me. And in my rearview mirror, when I talk about hindsight, perspective is what is in my rearview mirror. Perspective about life, perspective about being pulled over by life, perspective about unexpected, unpleasant things happening. So when you start with your why me, make sure you have the right perspective. Why do you try? Why me, Lord? Why am I still here? Why am I still in my right mind? Why am I still healthy? Why is my marriage still intact? Why are my children all still with me? Why do I have food to eat? Why do I have clothes to wear? Why do I have somewhere to live? I have a car to drive. I have to decide what I want for dinner when there are people who are not going to eat today or tomorrow. Why me? There are people right now who are wrongfully imprisoned. There are people in prison for their opinions. There are people in prison for believing in the Most High God and saying so. So when you start with the why me, make sure it's from the right perspective. Why me, Lord? Why have you been so good to me? Why am I intelligent? Why am I articulate? Why am I creative? Why is it that I can do things that other people can't? So adjust your why me. And even if the why me is something negative. It's unpleasant. Romans 8, I believe 28 says, all things work together for good to those who love the Lord or love God, depending on what version you're reading, and are called according to his purpose. Why you? Because you have purpose. That's why you. That is why you. And that is what I wanted to share on this Mechanical Monday. Continue to pray for Juan. If you do pray, and if you don't pray, now's a good time to start. So when you start praying, pray for Juan as he continues to back up his family during a challenging time. A why me time. They are having a why me season. But remember to adjust your why me at the appropriate time. Make sure you're having your why me on both sides, not just when the challenges come. Okay? And remember, you are loved, wanted, and needed, or you would not be here. So I trust you will allow this to help. I am Ladybug Jenkins, your mindset mechanic, reminding you that it is not too late to find, face, and fix what is stalling you. Amen. Amen.
Thanks for stopping by the shop. Tune in next Mechanical Monday so you can get the tools to find, face, and fix your mindset and accelerate your life.